Dr. Neeraj Chaudhary will present on effects of surgical safety checklist on post-operative outcomes, a prospective randomized trial.
Good morning to all. I would be presenting a prospective randomized control study on the effects of a surgical safety checklist on post-operative outcomes. More than 2.3 million operations are being performed annually worldwide, and it has been estimated that more than 50% of the post-operative surgical complications are potentially avoidable. It has been shown that the implementation of a surgical safety checklist enhances teamwork, improves coordination between the anesthetist and the surgical and the nursing teams, and hence improves post-operative outcomes. However, the results in all these previous studies have been confounded due to the selection bias, this improvement in the operative results with time, and the possible Hawthorne effect. The efficacy of checklist on post-operative outcomes has not been studied in a randomized control setting, and most of the data which is available is from the developed world, and there is little data from the developing countries. That's why we performed this study. We did a prospective randomized control study over a period of around 14 months. We implemented WHO surgical safety checklist with certain modifications suited to our patient population. The random numbers were generated using computer-generated research randomizer software. The randomization ratio in our study was 1:1, and the participants, that is the patient and the principal investigator, was blinded to the study. This is the standard WHO surgical safety checklist, which has 3 phases: sign in, time out, and the sign out phases. We modified this in terms that we added 1 item in each of the sign in and the time out phases. In the sign out, we added, has the preoperative imaging been discussed with the radiologist in detail preoperatively, and has the DVT prophylaxis been administered or not. This is the consort flow chart which is recommended by the consort group for reporting of the trials. During the study period, there were 855 patients who were assessed who were eligible for the study. We excluded patients less than 16 years, the liver transplant patients, both the recipients and the donors, and the patients who required intraoperative assistance. So we had 700 patients, and we allocated in both the arms 350 patients in both the group with WHO surgical safety checklist and the other no WHO surgical safety checklist. Since we measured the short-term outcomes of the study, there was no patient lost to follow-up, and therefore we analyzed in the last 350 patients in each group. The group with the checklist was termed as the RCR, and the group without checklist was termed as the RN arm. The checklist in our study was filled in by a surgery resident as contrast to the other previous studies in which the nurses were responsible for filling the checklist. The primary outcome measures which we intended to study were the compliance with the checklist and the comparison between the 2 groups in terms of post-operative complications, mortality, and the length of hospital stay. The secondary outcome measures were the subgroup analysis within the group in which we implemented the checklist. Our hospital ethics committee approval was taken before start of the study. These are the results. Both the groups, that is with or without the checklist, were comparable in terms of median age, the presence of 1 or more comorbidities, and the emergency indications for the surgery. In 85% of the patient with checklist, it was fully completed. That is, there were total 24 items, all were completely filled. In 5%, it was not completed. That is, not a single item was filled. And in 10%, it was partially completed. That is, at least one of the items was filled. We tried to assess the complications in between the 2 groups, and we found a significant reduction in terms of intra-abdominal, wound-related, and the and the bleeding complications between the two groups. However, there was no difference in terms of the respiratory, wound, septic, cardiovascular, and renal complications and other complications. Others are mainly the complications in terms of transfusion of blood and blood products. This is the bar chart showing the complications which a single patient experienced. In the first one, you can see that in the arm without checklist, the complications per patient, the overall complications per patient were 0.97 per patient. And in the arm with checklist, it was 0.8 per patient. If we extrapolate this data to 100 patients, the overall complications will be 97 in the group without checklist and 80 in the group with checklist. So overall absolute risk reduction of 17 complications per 100 patients. Similarly, in the terms of Clavian 3 and 4 higher grade complications, we found a significant reduction in terms of these complications. About 10 complications per 100 patients were less in the group with checklist. However, there was no difference between the two groups in terms of a single patient experiencing one or more complications. The mortality was significantly reduced in the group with checklist. It was 5.7% as compared to 10% in the group without checklist, which was statistically significant. The median hospital stay in both the groups was 9 days, which was similar in both the groups. We tried to do a subgroup analysis in the patients who we implemented the checklist, that is, in which the one group was fully completed checklist, 298 patients, and one was partially and not completed checklist, which was 52 patients. The complications per patient in the group with fully completed checklist in terms of overall complications was 0.75 per patient as compared to the other group, which was 1.07 per patient. This would amount to an absolute risk reduction of 32 complications per 100 patients. Similarly, the higher grade complications reduced to 16 complications per 100 patients in the group with fully completed checklist. So we will conclude that the strict implementation of WHO surgical checklist reduces morbidity and mortality. In our study, the better outcomes could be because of the surgical resident responsible for the checklist filling as contrast to the other studies in which the nurses were responsible. And we would strongly recommend that WHO surgical safety checklist should be made compulsory in India.
Thank you, Neeraj. We have time for